I have been so invested in this organization for so long. I was the chairman of the board here twice. Coming from the hotel community, which is suffered enough. They've suffered enough. I certainly am empathetic to what's happening and what the trickle-down effect of that has been, of course, with small businesses and restaurants and things, retail. Maybe there's a little bit of ego in me, but I think I took it because I think I can help fix it. It's one thing to sell a beautiful product in this amazing city. And that was where I came from. I came from a beautiful product that had, this great spirit of omotenashi, and it was unique and it had some really interesting elements to it. But now I get to sell the entire city. And there's a lot of beautiful hotels in this city. And there's a lot of interesting history in some of those hotels. And it's not just the hotels. I mean, it's everything. I get to talk about the neighborhoods. I get to talk about all the Michelin star restaurants. I get to talk about the wharf and what's happening down there. And what's did you know that tomorrow is the 10-year anniversary of the cruise ship terminal for San Francisco? So I get to talk about that and how that's bringing in visitors and increasing tourism. So it's just the pie just got much bigger and a little bit more delicious, I think.
There's a lot to work with here.
Yeah.
A lot to work with here. I was talking to Lindsay Gallagher up in Napa last week, and she was talking about the power of collaboration, where we can actually, every hospitality business owner, operator, but of course businesses across the city can do well by working together, by working with you. So I'm excited to kind of get into this. I want to talk a little bit about, I want to set the record straight. I wanted to set that straight when you and I talked a couple of months ago. I want to keep telling the story of what's really going on, because even in those few months, I work over at Salesforce Tower, just a few blocks away. I feel like there's more energy on the streets. Yeah. I want to get your take on this though, because I feel like we're making progress. And I wonder if you could speak a little bit to the hospitality business owners and operators about the progress that you're seeing, that you're hearing. What's going on here?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for coming back to work from Salesforce. Even just this past week, we've noticed that there's more people on the streets and there's more people dining for lunch in some of these, little delis and hot spots around. And so that makes a difference particularly to our small businesses. So getting people back into the office more often than not has certainly helped that energy that you're talking about. As far as what owners and operators and even small business owners should know is that we set a goal several years ago with the mayor to go out and talk to our customers about the initiatives we had put forth to clean up the streets and get things moving in the right direction. And what I'm most proud of is that wasn't just a bunch of talking heads saying, this is what we're going to do in San Francisco. We did it. We did exactly what we said we were going to do. The ambassador program is a great indication of that. If you can walk down Market Street, you can go basically anywhere, and it is still one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and it is dramatically different from what it was in 2020 during the crux of the pandemic.
You've been close to a lot of this. What did it take to move beyond just talking about it, to drive action, to drive results? Was it show that everybody just wanted? Well,
there's your collaboration right there, right?
Okay.
So there was a lot of that. Obviously, a lot of this had to be initiated from the mayor's office, and from City Hall and our partners there, and even sitting down now when we have our Outlook forums and when we have our customer advisory board, which we just had about 3 weeks ago. Chief Scott comes in, and Brooke Jenkins, who's the district attorney, comes in, and she talks about, crime is illegal in San Francisco and it's going to remain illegal,
Yeah.
And you can see that we are being aggressive about what you can and cannot do on our streets. And that kind of, during the pandemic, there were so many other things that everybody was worried about. But now we got to get back to business And in order for us to get back to business, people have to want to be here. They have to want to come here. And in order for them to want to come here, we have to be able to demonstrate that we're providing a great experience. And I think San Francisco is back to providing a great experience. Our USTA board meeting was actually up in Napa. So a lot of people, which is the United States Travel Association, so a lot of folks came in early, or they extended their stay and they came to San Francisco following that. And the people that came early and then went to the board meeting kept saying, I don't know why San Francisco's getting so beat up. Like, what is going on? I was just spent 3 days there and it is beautiful. Why is there all this negativity? And, I think for all the good work that the mayor's office has done, and I think for all the good work that all of our constituents, whether it's the hotel community or the restaurant community, we've all pulled together to do our part, and it shows. Why are we still getting beaten up? Because it's nothing like what people are seeing on television. The experience is dramatically different than what is being shown.
And it's interesting, I think, with events. I mean, Dreamforce was here recently, and talking to a number of people that were in town for that, you hear a lot of positive, like, oh wait, it's actually great
really
here.
Cool,
yeah, it's really cool here. And it's also interesting with events because, unfortunately, I've seen some event organizers plan stuff in the Bay Area. They go kind of outside of San Francisco because they think that they need to, and then people do exactly what you mentioned. They actually kind of stay here because they're like, I want to be in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to start to change, but it starts to change through talking about what's really going on. So that's why I appreciate us having this conversation. I'm thinking back to a couple months ago, we were talking about what does it take to raise the profile of a destination, but more than just raise the profile, but actually drive business. And you have a sales background. You've achieved a lot in kind of sales leadership roles and then in hospitality leadership roles. But I want to talk a little bit about sales because it might be something that's overlooked when people think about hospitality, tourism, driving people. What is the role of sales? What does it take, I guess, on a systemic, large level to get more people visiting? And how does sales play into that?
Oh, gosh. I mean, so there's so many different buckets of sales, too. So it's not just, one sale fits everyone. I mean, a leisure traveler from London is looking for something very different than somebody who's coming in for a Dreamforce conference who's going to extend their stay with their significant other. Those are two different types of sales. And, we are responsible for all of that. So I would say sales are based on relationships. Whether you have a relationship with the brand or you have a relationship with a person, your buying decision is based on your relationship with that. And so we have to make sure that San Francisco as a brand is showing up the right way and the way that people want to see it. Now there's two ways to do that. There's the B2B place, which we've been using this campaign called It All Starts Here. You've seen that, you've heard about that.
It's brilliant.
And it's lovely. It works incredibly well to a very specific market. But when we take that, we have to take a completely different message to a leisure consumer, because they want to see the pretty stuff. They want to see the cable car, and they want to see the painted ladies and the crooked street, all of that. And so the sell is very different. And we have to, here at SF Travel, and I think we are, to be really diverse, but also very clear in what our message is. So it has to touch a whole bunch of people, but we have to be kind of all in the same boat, rowing in the same direction, and you saw that with the Always campaign. Never the same, always San Francisco. And then you still see it in the city, always iconic, always fun, always flavorful, always, depending on what that customer's looking for.
Because it's so different. It's so different.
And
I think,
different.
I mean, that's kind of probably the challenge and the opportunity and the exciting part of promoting a place like San Francisco, because there's so many dimensions to it. I would love to talk for a moment, though, about that It All Starts Here campaign, because I'll tell you what I like about it. It's very authentic to San Francisco's position in the country, in the world, of being an innovator, going back 150 plus years. It feels like things, whether culturally or from a business perspective, originated here, right?
Yes.
So it's authentic to that sense, and it also gives a sense of kind of, if you want to stay on the edge of kind of what's coming to society, to innovation,
Yeah.
you want to be here.
You want to be here.
That's kind of what I took away from it, but I'd love to hear from your perspective.
Well, it's an aha moment for
Yeah.
so many people. I mean, I think I've shown that video in front of thousands of people at various conventions over the course of this last year. And it is oh, right. You see people going, oh my God. So it's the first time, rather than us just talking about it, that little thing that you hold in your hand and you're doing your schedule and you're sending your email, that started here. And those jeans that you have on, that started here. And like now Waymo, of course, that everyone wants to do that when they come, so it's just a funny thing, but it is fascinating to watch people's aha moment when they see that. And like I said, it's been a great message for us to remind people that this is what put San Francisco on the map. It's probably why you want to be part. It's a little bit of FOMO too. You want to be part of it. If you're looking to maybe expand a business here or start a business, this is the place you probably want to start it, and that's what it's doing for people, is like, oh, all that innovation happens right there in San Francisco. Maybe I should take a look at that.
Yeah. Well, I have a confession. I took my first Waymo ride 3 days ago, so I'm a little bit late to the game because it's been going around my neighborhood for 3 or 4 or 5
They're
years.
everywhere.
But there is that sort of like, wow, this is happening. This is the future.
happening.
And I was here with my dad. My dad's visiting from Michigan. And he was like, what is this? This is insane. But I bet so many visitors to San Francisco have that. Like,
Listen,
oh my God.
site inspection, when we're doing site inspections for the city, for whether it's a citywide program, we have, we probably do 10 site inspections a week, right? Where we're showing them Moscone Center, we're walking them around to the various hotels and restaurants and the retail space. They get to experience San Francisco. They all want to do it by way of Waymo now.
It's so funny. Well, if I think about it, let me bridge this into the next thing I want to ask you about. Like, Waymo felt so easy. I opened it up, my app, it was one and done. In our last conversation, one of the things I took away was this notion of being easy to do business with. And it was really interesting because that's what great salespeople think about, but it feels like there's a play here in tourism. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how you're thinking about what does it
What's
mean
easy?
to be what's easy as you think about increasing visitors to this destination. What does that look like?
Well, think about just airlift. Let's start with that. We have an amazing airport that has airlift. We're a gateway city, so it's easy for people to get here. It's easy for people to get from the airport to the city. It's a very short ride, whether you want to take the BART or you want to take a Waymo. Actually, you can't do that from the airport yet, but you will be able to soon, I believe. But you could take Uber or Lyft, and that started here too. So either way. And then when you get to the city, of course, we have amazing hotels and all different kinds of hotels, small boutique hotels and then Airbnb, again, it started here too, to these large hotels. You have choices, lots of different choices. You want to stay and have views of the bay, or do you want to stay and have views of the city? Again, it's easy, but you get to sort of pick and choose. And then it's easy because we offer a little bit to everyone. So are you an arts and culture person? Do you want to check out the museums? Are you a foodie? You want to check out those Michelin star restaurants? Would you rather just roam and see what you run into? Well, this is a perfect place for that too. So I think making it easy is just explaining to people, this is an easy vacation. This is an easy place to do business. You can make it as big or as small, as compact or not as you want. And this is one of the beautiful things about our city is, for those who just want to stroll and wander, and, a lot of folks say that that's what they like to do when they visit Europe. Well, you can do that here, just as well. So I think that's what makes it easy. We have easy choices, and we're an easy destination to get to. And right now, we're pretty affordable.
I would love to get your perspective on what's happening in the world of travel and tourism trends. I feel like this whole area is evolving. The way people travel, why they travel evolves. What do you see happening in the broader world of travel that excites you most? I guess specifically urban travel that excites you most now.
Well, I mean, a boomer travels differently than a Gen Xer or Gen Y and all that. So, that's another great thing about San Francisco. It kind of runs the gamut. It's not just stay and play. You can educate yourself here. You can enjoy a lot of different things. So I think travel is evolving in many different ways. First of all, sports travel has become massive. And if you haven't been to a San Francisco Giants game when the Dodgers are in town and see what Ohtani brings, that is in and of itself has been fascinating to watch. And now you're starting to see sports teams really dive into that even more. And then, of course, with San Francisco, we have the NBA All-Star Game, the Laver Cup, the FIFA World Cup, the Super Bowl. There's so many different things that are coming here that you could just do a sports vacation, frankly. So it's taking on, and I speak about that specifically because travel is taking on niche markets, these little niche markets. And if you just want to come here and do a food and wine tour, this is a great place to do that. If you just want to immerse yourself in the museums, well, we can do that too. And you're seeing that people are really able to dive into the things that they like, and that's how they're creating their itineraries. And that's another reason why San Francisco is so lovely for so many people, because it offers so many different options and opportunities.
Choose your own adventure, right?
Choose your own adventure.
Yeah. When I think that's good to your earlier remarks around kind of the brand positioning and things like that, it is kind of hard to wrap everything up into one brand, but it is that multi-dimensional sort of appeal of San Francisco.
Yeah, that might be the new tagline, choose your own adventure. We were just talking about, like, what's the new tag going to be, you know? And I'm like, that's going to be on the list.
We might have to talk. Again, I love it. I guess, I want to kind of go back to the notion of collaboration.
Yeah.
Some of our listeners will be here in San Francisco, hospitality owners and operators. I'm curious, how would you like them to collaborate with you? And I guess people in other parts of the country, they can think about what that looks like to collaborate with their local, tour DMO. But for you, for operators here, how would you like them to collaborate with you?
You have to participate to collaborate. And participation isn't, I think we have the member who believes that SF Travel is there to just bring them business. And then we have the member who says, I need to participate with SF Travel. The more I put in is the more I'll get, how I'll get that out, right? So the more I give, the more I get. And, there's two ways of looking at that. I think the folks that benefit the most from San Francisco Travel is those who collaborate with us and participate with us. They sit on our boards, they come to our committees, we talk about marketing, and they tell us what they think they need, what it should look like, what it should feel like. And that part of it, I believe, is what makes it work. That's what makes collaboration work, is when you have people that are willing to come together and share ideas, because that's kind of what this is. It's just a giant think tank of how we can be better and how we can service our constituents to their liking, to what they need. What are their wants? What are their needs? Not everybody needs a convention group because they don't have that kind of hotel, but they do need leisure travel. So how do I help them drive more leisure travel to their particular hotel? Some of the hotels are just specifically, and restaurants too, they just are really looking for that business traveler who's coming in. I need to fill lunch Monday through Friday, so I'm looking for that business traveler. How do we help promote that? So collaboration requires, it's a two-way thing. It's not just me giving, there has to be some give and take in this.
That makes sense. And I'm thinking about this also kind of heading into, an election season. We want this to be evergreen and it kind of nonpartisan, but I care deeply about travel and helping us all thrive. And it feels like even individuals, kind of whether or not they're running some of these businesses, can think about this and I guess, advocate to their elected officials and kind of think about this in voting. It's like, it takes everybody here.
Well, listen, our elected officials had a huge wake-up call during COVID. all of a sudden, when that general fund dried up, they were like, well, what's going on? Well, okay, the hotels aren't full, so the occupancies are low, so there's no revenue flowing through into the general fund. And so then all of a sudden, everybody recognized travel is essential. Travel is absolutely a needed in this city. It's not just a nice to have, it's a need to have. We need to have visitation in the city in order for the city to thrive.
On a lot of levels, but financially, what was it last year? 9 billion plus in visitor spend.
Yeah.
What 600 million plus in revenues that directly went into the city's budget. So just on an economic level,
right.
This is kind of we're seeing
so
tangible.
Important, right? And listen, we also want people to come here so we can be loud and proud about our city, right? There's a lot for us to say, this is the greatest city in the world. You should come and check it out, and that drives, because there is that sense of FOMO, right? Everybody's fear is to miss out on something. So, we had that pre-pandemic. We were sort of this city that every other destination city in the country was striving to be like San Francisco, because we had it all. We had business travel, we had leisure and international travel, and we had convention travel. And we've, it's been hard for us to get that back, all of that back, but it's like we are just chipping away a little bit at a time, and we got to take some big chunks out of it.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to see it again. San Francisco, if anything, has been known as the
Phoenix. The rebound. Yeah, we are the rebound kids.
Come back from so much again and again and again and again. I think it's going to take work. It's going to take work, but I think there's a bright future ahead. I was going to ask you, what is one thing our listeners can do to contribute to the city's comeback? What I'm hearing from you is think about whatever your role and responsibility is, like how do you take part is kind of what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, you got to get involved.
Get involved, yeah.
You have to get involved.
Yeah.
If you work in Union Square, be a part of the bid, the Union Square bid. If you're part of another part of the city, get involved in that and making sure that your neighborhoods are thriving, and that's what helps. That's 100% what gets us back. You got to get involved though.
I love it. People watching or listening to this, I'll include links in the show notes where you can learn more. Is there any specific resource or thing you would call people or point people to, or just your website would be the best place?
Yeah, if you want to learn about SF Travel, the website is absolutely the best place.
Amazing. Anna Marie, thank you so much for your conversation.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure, always.